Andy was traveling from New York to Chicago by night bus. An old man got on and offered books to the passengers. "Books, son? There are various kinds here. Kung fu books, romance, religion, etc.," said the old man. Andy, who was unable to sleep, was also interested. "Are there any horror books, Uncle?" "Oh, do you like horror stories? Incidentally, there is one left. The story also fits. About the bus where many curious souls live. The title is Blood Bus Keeper. It's really scary." "That's okay. How much does it cost, Uncle?" $50, son." "Wow, really expensive, Uncle." "Yes, because this is a bestseller book. Everyone who reads this book is reported to have been shocked when they read the ending," said the old man, a salesman-style promotion. Andy also relented. For some reason, when he handed over the money to the old man, lightning suddenly thundered. The wind started blowing hard. The old man got off the bus, but suddenly stopped and turned his face slowly to Andy. "Son," he said softly, "no matter what happens, please don't turn to the last page. Remember, whatever happens, if you don't, you will regret it later, and I don't want to take responsibility." Andy's heart was beating fast. He was so scared that he couldn't nod his head until the old man got off the bus and disappeared into the darkness. By midnight, Andy had finished reading the entire book, except for the last page. And it's true, as the old man said, the book is really suspenseful and scary. The bus was speeding, it was raining heavily. Lightning flashed alternately. The sound of thunder boomed. Andy looked around and found that all the passengers were asleep. The hairs on his neck got goosebumps. Also read, "Campfire Ghost Story." "Read the last page, didn't you?" thought Andy worriedly. Between curiosity and fear mingled into one. Outside, the night seemed to be getting darker. "Oh, come on, that's all. It's over." With trembling hands, he opened the last page of the book slowly. And finally, a blank sheet appears with a piece of writing in the upper right corner. While swallowing hard, Andy read letter by letter. Evening. I'm standing at the bus stop and waiting for a bus that should have arrived half an hour ago. My house is located outside the city, far from the institute where I study, and therefore I have to wait for the bus all the time. He's never been late, but this time, he's been gone for half an hour. Perhaps it was canceled or there was an accident, I thought, and already decided to call a taxi. But as soon as I left the stop, I heard the noise of wheels. How lucky it was not my bus, but 113. Strange, because I had never seen a bus with that number at this stop before. Moreover, the route said that it goes straight to my home. Ignoring the oddities, I got into it anyway. There was no one on the bus except the driver. I paid the fare and went to the back seat. He started from a stop. I looked out the window at the night streets. There were fewer and fewer cars on the road. Suddenly, the driver took the wrong turn that leads to my house. "Sorry, looks like we're going to the wrong place, right?" I asked. "We won't go any further there. There was a big accident on the highway today. The road was blocked. We will now unite the district." "Ah, okay." I obediently sat down in my seat and continued to look out the window. About 5 minutes later, there was something shooting on the bus. "Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk," the driver yelled. "This rocker should have been thrown into the trash a long time ago. Sit here, it's literally for 5 minutes. I'll start it now and let's eat." The driver opened the front door of the bus and got out. I've already started going through spare parts in my head that could break. For 5 minutes, I heard the driver using obscene language when suddenly deep silence reigned. "Maybe you need help?" I asked. But the answer was the same deathly silence. "Hey, can I help you?" And again, nothing. I was sitting alone in a lonely bus with the door open on an empty highway. Goosebumps ran through my body. What to do? I stood up and slowly walked out. From the driver's window, I only saw the open hood. Having overcome fear and misunderstanding, I got off the bus. It is somehow accepted that people are afraid of fictional monsters, ghosts, and certain zombies. At that moment, the silence terrified me. The highway was completely empty, and there was only one road that leads either straight or back. My path was illuminated only by the light in the bus cabin. "Hey, are you here? I'm good with cars. I can help you." I walked up to the hood, but there was no one there. This made me very worried. Goosebumps ran through my body. My hands shook, but not from the cold. Suddenly, the lights in the cabin suddenly went out. In horror, without taking my eyes off the bus, I gradually began to move back, increasing the pace. When suddenly he rested his back against something hard. My heart couldn't stop beating, and then in my right ear I heard, "Hello." "Ah!" I screamed and turned around sharply but didn't see anyone. Only an empty highway that led to my home. "Let's show yourself. Stop playing with me. I want to see you. Come out." I tore my throat with a hysterical cry, but nothing else happened. Suddenly someone honked the horn on the bus. I couldn't see who it was because there was still no light in the cabin, but he didn't stop honking. I slowly started walking towards the bus, still trying to see who was sitting in the driver's seat. Approaching the door, I stopped. I turned on the backlight on my phone to illuminate my way. Entering the bus, I saw that there was no one in the driver's seat. I sharply turned the telephone backlight to the place where I was sitting, and what I saw killed my consciousness. My bloody corpse lay on the seat. His arms and legs were in shackles. Clothes are torn to shreds. I looked at my body from the outside in horror, looked closely at every detail, and did not believe my eyes. It seemed to me that this was just a nightmare that was about to end, but that was not the case. In the hand of my corpse, I saw a piece of paper. Slowly approaching him, I took the note. It said, "Now your soul belongs to Bus 113. You will be chained to it until you find a replacement." A couple of seconds later, the bus closed the door. This happened to my sister, 23, last winter. We live on the outskirts of a city. My sister works close to downtown and was taking a city bus that has a stop near our apartment. She had gone out after work and took a later bus back at around 12:30 a.m. I'm usually up pretty late, but as I had work in the morning, I was asleep with phone on vibrate. My sister was on the bus headed home when she noticed two Hispanic males in their mid to late 20s, along with a female who were whispering and looking at my sister and whispering more. There was only a few people on the bus at this time, and my sister said she overheard one of the guys say something about her being able to make money or something of that nature. She is on 3% phone battery, trying to call me, and I'm not answering. She texts my GF with her last-ditch effort, and my GF is awake, but my GF lives 30+ miles away. My GF calls me, and for WE reason I wake up, she asks me if I've seen my texts, which I hadn't. I checked them, and my sis 25 minutes ago said she felt unsafe and that 3 people were making her very uncomfortable and wanted me to pick her up at the stop, which is a 5-minute walk. My GF said that she told my sister to get off the bus near home and find a well-lit area, and my GF called the police in our town. She told them a young woman is being harassed on the bus and is waiting on, told them the street name for help. The cops found my sister and drove her home, and at that point I'm awake like WTF is going on. I don't know what would have happened, but my GF saved the day with her quick thinking. My sister no longer takes the bus, and I try to make sure she's safe before I go to sleep every night. Keep your phones charged, people, and be aware of your surroundings when alone at night, especially females. The last regular bus slowly turned from the bus station towards the region. The cabin was empty. Vera rolled her suitcase and sat in splendid isolation by the window, behind the driver's cab. The darkness of the night was broken by white-clad fir trees and silvery frost, located wherever possible. I've never taken such a late flight to visit my grandfather in the village. What a beauty, though, Vera thought to herself. The driver did not drive, sometimes slowing down and opening the doors at empty stops. This is understandable. On Tuesday, there are few people willing. It's not Friday. It's not the weekend. There was only about 15 minutes left to go. Suddenly, the driver accelerated and the bus took off. A bus stop appeared outside the window with people waiting. Vera couldn't believe her eyes. How many times she went to see her grandfather and never stopped here. She looked into the driver's cabin and wanted to ask him why they drove so fast and didn't stop. At this time, a very old bus approached the stop. The doors opened and all the waiting people got on. The doors closed and the bus suddenly jerked forward and caught fire, then disappeared, taking the bus stop with it. What was it? Vera asked the driver anxiously. This always happens on Tuesdays at this time. 30 years ago, there was a bus stop here called the Club. The people who were returning from the club on that ill-fated day boarded this bus. The bus was faulty. The driver, who was not experienced, drove so hard that he missed the bus stop. It flew down the highway. The bus began to smoke, burst into flames, and then disappeared. Since then, every Tuesday at the same time, this has been repeated and repeated. Vera, impressed, walked from her stop to her grandfather's house. The gate and doors were open, and the light was on above the porch. The hospitable grandfather did not sleep, waited for his granddaughter, and, as expected, organized a tea party. Of course, the first question was, "How did you get there? How did you get there?" Confused, Vera told about a strange stop with an old bus and about the story told by the driver. Grandfather shook his head and said sadly, "Souls have not found peace." Then only 2 people survived, a married couple. They mysteriously got out of the burning bus. Since then, they have stopped communicating with everyone and lead a reclusive lifestyle. They are rarely seen, only when they go grocery shopping. You can't get a word out of them, let alone learn anything. It's clear they were stressed. Maybe they feel guilty that everyone died and they didn't. 30 years have passed, and it torments them, gives them no peace. Yes, those who have seen them all say that they look like they escaped from the other world. You, Grandpa, find out where they live. I'll visit them. I'm not local. They don't know me. Maybe they'll tell me. It will make it easier for them and for the dead. It wasn't too far to walk. The house was almost on the outskirts. From the outside, it was clear that no one had done any repairs for the last 30 years. Vera opened the sagging door and entered the house. "Hello, can I come and talk to you?" "Well, since you've already come in and sit down." The gray-haired old man pointed to a chair. Vera, not at all embarrassed, hurriedly told about what she saw and learned on the way to the village. About that tragedy, in detail. About those unfortunate people who every Tuesday at the same time get on an old bus and then burn. Only you 2 got out of the burning bus and remained alive. Yes, we didn't get off the bus that ill-fated day, and we are not alive now. We had only been married a few days, and we wanted to live here for a while. We didn't want to leave for another world, the old man said, embarrassed, and called his wife. We probably stayed here too long because we promised him to live here for a short time and return, said the gray-haired thin old woman. To whom? Him? I don't really understand, but maybe he's waiting for you to return, Vera asked in surprise. Oh, baby, we really didn't want to go back there, but now I look at us. We're so old and weak. I think it's high time for us to go. Let's not wait for Tuesday and wait until the evening. I think they've already been waiting for us for a long time, said the old woman, collecting pies in a bag. Vera stood at the side of the road and watched as people got on the bus. Among them was that old man and old woman. They entered, sat down and hugged each other tightly. The bus slowly started moving and drove off, slowly disappearing over the horizon. Since then, no one has ever seen that stop or those people getting on the bus. This is the story of my friend Clara. The following is a story in her words. During the holidays, she went to Florida. This was after graduation. There, her friend Jane was supposed to meet her at the stop. It took 3 hours to drive. She arrived at the station, but the bus did not arrive. She dozed off to the sound of rain. I woke up to the sound of squeaking brakes. A bus had arrived. Clara waited a long time and immediately jumped in. There was one bus on the route, number 62. It stopped near Villages, and the other one didn't go. Clara jumped in there. He drives and looks out the window. Suddenly, he notices that there is no bus number, although the number is usually attached to the bus right on the side. Clara, having read various mystical stories, was immediately scared. Of course, what about a strange, unfamiliar bus? And it suddenly seemed to her that it was endless. She goes to the driver and Strashno.com can't get there. It's like it's coming back. She sat down on some seat. I started thinking about what to do, where to go. He looks out the window, and there are unfamiliar, impenetrable forests. Some owls, lizards, monsters are watching from under the bushes. Then Sasha screamed at the top of her lungs, and suddenly she found herself on the road. It's already evening. I drove for about 10 minutes at most, and in the morning too. And now it's evening. There are not even cars or buses. One path. She began to walk along the path, and she reached the stop, which is 2 hours away from where she took the strange bus. Sasha thinks, where is that bus without a number? He looks. He is nowhere to be found. Clara's skin crawled. She was very scared. She jumped up. He sees a scarecrow standing in the forest. He doesn't remember how he ran. She even remembers that the scarecrow looked at her terribly, and next to her stood a burnt house. I got to another stop, and there is a man standing there. We started talking. He asked where she was running like that. Sasha told him everything. The man says, this has happened here more than once. They say there is a mystical bus, without a number. No need to sit on it. He will stand for about 10 minutes, see that no one has gotten into it, and leave. You're lucky you didn't meet any ghosts there. Otherwise, I would have gone completely crazy. It's good that you screamed. He immediately disappeared and left you alone. It turned out that you drove for 2 hours but thought it was 10 minutes. Definitely mystical. Suddenly their bus with a number arrived. The man said that a regular bus arrives immediately after the mystical one. Sasha had already gotten into it and left, thanking the man for his interesting story. Since then, Clara has told this story to many people. The girl herself is very decent and smart. She even tried to meet the bus again, but they say no one saw him again.